Hello everyone and welcome to Medicated Housewife DIY, where crafting and mental health come together. My name is Sarah. In today's DIY video, we are making 4 new Dollar Tree DIY Father's Day gift ideas. Super quick and easy gifts he'll love for that awesome dad, grandpa, or just that special person to your family. These are simple to make using mostly Dollar Tree supplies and other low-cost options. Show the person who means so much to you how much you appreciate them with these unique, fun, and high-end looking gifts. They are quick and easy DIYs that you're gonna love so much, so stick around. And let's go make some stuff and jump right into this. To begin with, for DIY number 1, I'm using 2 of these rectangular wood planks that I get at Dollar Tree. They come in a pack. And I'm also using these jumbo craft sticks that I got at Home Depot. You can also get those at Walmart. And I cut the rounded ends off of the sticks first, and I'm taking one that's about 4 inches in length, and I'm going to cut 60-degree angle cuts on both ends using my miter shears from Amazon, and I'll link that for you below. You've probably heard me talk about these miter shears in other videos, but they don't always cut all the way through on the craft sticks, so I'm going to be using these heavy-duty craft cutters that I got on Amazon. I got them originally to cut pine cones for my pine cone flowers video. If you have not seen that, I will link that for you below, but these cutters come in such handy for so many things. They literally cut through everything. It's a total game changer. I'll link them along with all the other supplies that I'm using for the video in the description box below. Next, I take 2 smaller pieces of craft stick about 2 inches long, and I cut those at a 45-degree angle with my miter shears, and then I'm finishing that cut with those craft cutters. I also cut 4 more pieces of craft stick in a straight line cut, but each only a little over 1 inch long, so they almost look like squares. And again, I cut 4 of them. So far I have 7 pieces of cut craft stick all together. 1 longer piece with 60-degree angles cut on each side, 2 smaller pieces cut at 45-degree angles on one side, and 4 small pieces with no angles. After the cuts, I sand all of them with some fine grit sandpaper to smooth out any of the jagged edges. Oh, and I also cut 1 craft stick in half and cut the round edges off on both sides, making a total of 8 pieces of cut craft stick. Then I'm just laying out my pieces to check the sizes and the placements, and I want to make a note to you guys that for some reason I am placing that top piece with the angles on both sides, I'm placing it upside down on camera here, but in the finished product, that craft stick will have the long side on the bottom and the short side on top of the project. And for some strange reason, I reversed that here. I don't know what I was thinking, but you will see it the correct way later. I'm using Varathane wood stain in the color Ipswich Pine, and I'll link that below, to stain the 2 wood planks that I'm using. And I also grabbed some regular small craft sticks from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to stain those the same color as the planks because I'll be using those small craft sticks on the back of the project to help support it and to keep my wood planks together. So I just wanted everything to neatly match. While those are drying, I grab my Varathane wood stain in the color Golden Oak, and I'm using that to stain the remaining wood pieces that I had just cut. And I'm staining all sides and the edges, even though technically you will only see the front of the pieces. I stained everything anyway. I also gave everything 2 coats in hopes of darkening it up a little bit because it still seemed a little light to me. And yes, in my opinion, it was most definitely too late. So I needed those pieces to contrast with the wood planks, the ones that we stained with the Ipswich Pine. So I needed them to be darker. I'm using some of this folk art antique wax, which is similar to the Waverly antique wax, which I can't seem to find anymore, which is really upsetting. But regardless, I'm using the wax to darken up those craft stick pieces and to make them a much darker, warm brown. Off camera, I glued my 2 wood planks together side to side using Tight Bond Quick and Thick wood glue, and I allowed that to dry overnight. And then I used the same wood glue to attach those stained small craft sticks to the back of the wood planks, and that's just to support them and to help hold them together. I used 4 of the craft sticks to do this, and I used the last one to also hold down a small piece of twine at the top of my project, and that was going to serve as a hanger for the project. I used an extra plank and an extra craft stick to support the first craft stick that I am gluing to the top edge of the project. That's where the twine hanger is, and that piece is technically hanging off the top edge, so I needed something there to support the weight of it until it dries. And I am still using Tight Bond wood glue to glue down that piece, and I'm also using some painter's tape to hold it together until it all sets up. You could also use a mini clamp to do this as well. And once that sets, I glue down my 2 angled pieces of craft stick with the angle edge against the bottom edge of the piece that I just glued down. And I want those 2 pieces to be angled toward each other, but they don't actually meet in the middle, kind of like a shirt collar. Next, I glue the long, thinner piece down the middle in between the 2 angle pieces, and then I take the 4 square pieces and glue one on top of the other, and each group of 2 I glue onto the lower sides of the plank so that all of my cut pieces resemble a shirt front. I got this bulk bag of assorted sized wood buttons on Amazon. I'll link them for you below, but you can use any buttons that you have as long as you have 5 of the same kind of button. And these that I got were a little too dark for my liking, so I gave them a quick and rough coat of folk art acrylic paint in the color camel. And it's not full coverage, just enough to give them like a lighter appearance with a little bit of light distressing to them. And then I let those dry. Then, using wood glue, I first glued the 2 buttons on the inner edges of those square pieces that I have on the side of the project. And I followed that by gluing 3 buttons down the middle piece, spaced out evenly. I got a large bag of tiny brass hooks at Amazon, I'll link it below, but I know you can get some small hooks in the hardware section of Dollar Tree. I just couldn't find any at my Dollar Tree, so I picked these up. I decided to use 3 of them, and I first glued them across the bottom of the planks. And after the glue dried, I used the tiny little screws that come with them, and I screwed the hooks into place to make them just a little bit stronger for actually hanging things. And this is how DIY number 1, my Father's Day shirt key hanger, turned out. How cute is this? I love that it's all wood, and I think the wood tones make this a little rustic, which is fine for Father's Day. It is fully functional as a key hanger or other small hangable items, and I'd imagine that anyone would love to receive this as a gift. I also think something like this is fully customizable. You could alter all the colors that are used to your needs, or even add a name or monogram to really personalize it. But I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments if you love this key hanger that looks like a shirt that's made out of wood. Would you want to gift this to a special person in your life? DIY number 2 is definitely a little more whimsical. We start with this printed assortment of mustaches I printed from Google search. I literally searched Google for mustache vectors and printed it out on a plain piece of paper. I decided which mustache I wanted to use, and I folded the paper and then used some painter's tape to tape the image down so that it wouldn't move. And I also tape a piece of parchment paper over the image that I can see through the parchment paper. Then I use my hot glue gun to trace the outline of the mustache onto the parchment paper, which will make it very easy to peel the finished mustache off of. And then I fill in the entire image of the mustache with the hot glue. And I'm gradually building it up, and it really doesn't matter if it's not a smooth surface or if it's uneven. That just all adds to the 3D effect that we're going to be looking for. I then put that aside a bit just to dry. I'm going to be using one of the rectangular wood planks from Dollar Tree, and also I grabbed about 12 Tumbling Tower Blocks. I didn't need them all, but I figured I would have them just in case. And I already had a 4-block piece that was glued together for another project, so I decided to use that one too. I had this apple barrel white chalk paint mixed with water from another project, so I grabbed that and started to paint it onto the wood plank, the front, the back, and the sides. I wanted to see the white color, but also to see the wood grain coming through. I wanted a whitewashed wood kind of effect, so I wiped off the excess paint whenever I felt that it was necessary. I also painted all the Jenga blocks the same whitewashed effect as the wood plank. While my wood plank and blocks are drying, I'm using Folk Art black chalk paint, and I'm going to paint my hot glue mustache. I did about 2 coats to completely cover the hot glue, but I really didn't love the matte look of the chalk paint, so once that dried, I did go over it with apple barrel black gloss acrylic paint. Once the plank and blocks were dry, I did a very quick and light sanding over some of the edges to roughen them up a little bit. And then I started to figure out the best way to make my plank stand up straight using the blocks. I ended up using the 4-piece Jenga block set that I had, and I glued that using wood glue to the back of my plank. And then I took 1 block and glued it to the front, and then another one next to that. And then 1 more block behind the 4-block piece that was in the back, and that was just to give it some added stability. Then I needed to position one of the blocks on the front of the plank to be the nose. I mean, you saw the mustache, you knew where this was going. So I measure about 2 inches from the top and then the center of that point, and that is where I glued the nose block. And now I measured it because I need to put another block in the exact same place, but in the back of the plank. So I glued another block on the back of the plank in the same spot as the nose block that's in the front. And I used a piece of painter's tape to hold it in place while the glue sets. Then it was time to glue the mustache under the nose block. Obviously, where else would you put a hot glue mustache? Now you could use hot glue since the entire mustache is hot glue, but I'm not a huge fan of hot glue on wood, so I'm using more wood glue to glue the mustache under the nose. Once that nose block is dry, I take the tape off of it, and I need to use 1 final block to complete the nose for our purposes. So I take a block and I turn it to the skinny side facing out, and I glue that just slightly higher up than the first nose block, just like ever so slightly, so that there's like less than 1/4 inch of space behind it, but there is a little space, as you can see here. And this is how DIY number 2, my Father's Day eyeglass stand, turned out. Now, if this were a pageant, this would be Miss Congeniality for sure. She is not conventionally pretty, but she's loaded with personality and sass. I think this Father's Day DIY is really funny, and it actually is fully functional. Like, who couldn't use a place to rest their eyeglasses? Plus, the personalization possibilities are endless. You could add a beard or hair or a hat, or even lose the mustache and make a pair of lips instead. And you don't have to use hot glue. You could use clay or colorful craft foam, or even just paint them onto the wood plank. Truly customizable. But I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments if there's someone in your life with a sense of humor enough to appreciate this as a gift. DIY number 3 is a little different. It's a display puzzle, and to begin with, I got a bag of 1-inch wood cubes on Amazon. I'll link them for you below, and they're about twice the size of the Dollar Tree wood cubes for size comparison. So you could use the Dollar Tree ones to do this, but your puzzle would just be half the size. I also got some of these wood canvases at Amazon too. I'll link those below. And I already soaked the cubes and the canvas in an instant coffee stain, which for those of you that don't know, I just get a big bowl and like a whole jar of cheap instant coffee, mix it with hot water, and let the blocks and canvas soak for several hours. Then drain and leave them to dry, and we get this lovely warm brown color. We are making what's known as a soma cube. It's a total of 27 wood cubes assembled into a square. So it's 3 rows of 9 cubes. It's a 3 by 3 by 3 square. So I set up my 27 cubes in the canvas, which we are using as a display box for the puzzle. I have a cheat sheet to make the puzzle pieces, as well as a cheat sheet to assemble the finished puzzle. I will include a link in the description box below that leads you to a page on that website with all of that info in the cheat sheet. Or you can also just freeze frame the sheet on this video as needed, and you are going to need it, folks. It's not an easy puzzle. So we're going to make these 27 cubes into 7 separate puzzle pieces. The pieces look like what you see on this sheet, so you can follow along with me as you do it, or just download and use the sheet on your own. I'll be speeding up me gluing the cubes together using my tight bond wood glue for the sake of saving time. I'm following the 7 diagrams in front of me, as you can see me do here. Once my 7 puzzle pieces are dry, I'm going to assemble them according to this cheat sheet. I'm also going to speed this up because you guys are going to want to download and have this sheet in front of you to do this. Trust me. Even with the cheat sheet, putting it together the first time was still kind of challenging. Also, I like speeding it up because it makes me look so much smarter than I really am. So I've got that going for me. Now I'm adding in this footage just to show you another puzzle made out of all Dollar Tree Jenga blocks. If you guys would like to see a video of this Jenga block puzzle, please let me know in the comments below. If enough people are interested, I will certainly do that. And this is how DIY number 3, my Father's Day brain teaser puzzle, turned out. If you like puzzles, then this is the perfect gift. It's a lovely, stately looking puzzle that would be perfect on an office desk or even on a coffee table in a living room. Plus, it's fun to try and put together. I also just think it looks so clean and modern, and I personally love it. And I actually have it on display on my desk right now, but I want to know what you think. Would you guys want to make a puzzle like this as a gift? And also, let me know in the comments if you're interested in that Jenga block puzzle that I showed you. DIY number 4 is our final Father's Day DIY, and by far the quickest and easiest of the bunch. I'm using Varathane wood stain in the color Ipswich Pine, and I'm using one of these wood crates from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to start with staining the inside of the crate and then make my way to the outside, and then I'm going to set it aside to dry. Next, I got a bag of 3-inch wood letters on Amazon. I'll link them for you below. And I realized after I got them, they were a little bigger than what I wanted, but that's what I had, so I was going to make them work. And I'm using Folk Art wax in the antique wax color, and I'm going to paint the letters in the front and in the back and on the edges. And I use a baby wipe to wipe off the excess stain, and then I let them dry. Once all my pieces are dry, I'm going to glue the letters onto the crate, and frankly, these letters really are too big, but I'm going to try and make it cute anyway. I am only using 3 letters, which is good because there is no way I could fit 4, and I fit them onto the side of the crate the only way I could think of to make that work, and I used some wood glue to attach them to the crate, and then I let them dry. I had some leftover wood cubes from my puzzle DIY, so I figured I'd give the crate a little height, which always makes a project better. I used 4 cubes as 4 legs under the crate and attached them with wood glue. And this is how DIY number 4, my Father's Day wood crate, turned out. How cute is this? It says Dad, but it could easily say Pop or even someone's name if you got smaller letters, unlike me. I just think this is so sweet in that traditional Father's Day type way. You know, like a macaroni necklace, but much more functional. This is adorable for Dad to use in a workshop, for smaller tools, or a desk for pens and pencils or other supplies, or really anything you can think of. What father or pop wouldn't love to get this crate from a child or grandchild? Plus, it was ridiculously easy to make. And this is how all 4 of my Dollar Tree DIY Father's Day gift ideas turned out. If I had to pick a favorite, I'm kind of tied between the wood shirt key hanger and the wood cube puzzle. I love them both, but also the eyeglass stand and the dad crate are super cute. These were all pretty simple to make, and some were much quicker to come together than others. I can't think of a more meaningful gift for Father's Day than a gift that was homemade and from the heart. Those are always the best and most appreciated, I think, but I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments which one of these four is your favorite and why. Is it the rustic looking wooden shirt, the super cute dad crate, the brain teaser puzzle, or that oh so quirky eyeglass stand? Also, let me know if you have any interest in that Jenga block puzzle too. I hope you enjoyed this Medicated Housewife DIY, and if you did, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing. It really helps out my channel. Once again, thanks for watching, and until next time, I'm the Medicated Housewife, and crafting is my medication.